I was perfectly content with this year being my last Wonderfruit for the foreseeable future. So a little bit quick story time. The year before, in 2023, my experience staying on site at Wonderfruit was less than stellar, with several issues popping up that made it almost a no-go. So going in, I made a deal with myself that if this year was anything like last year, I would have to be done for a little while. Because here's the reality. We have so many options now. The economics and demographics of festivals and nightlife is changing. And for me and for what I look for in a festival, can Wonderfruit continue to supply that? The last one, not necessarily. So the real question was, could this be a return to form for Wonderfruit? Absolutely. If you're coming here to find any kind of shade or dirt thrown at Wonderfruit, you can hit the door because I got nothing for you. This year was absolutely fantastic. It was over 3 weeks ago and I'm just getting this video out because I have been nitpicking and trying to find things this year negative to talk about. And it's extremely difficult. And it's not just for me, it's literally my entire network of colleagues and friends and longtime wanderers who are like, it was just great from start to finish. So in this video, I want to quickly break down the good, the bad, and what I think can be improved for future editions. Well, I have nothing but love for the entire Wonderfruit team. Everybody did a phenomenal and excellent job as always. But if there was an MVP, there was a Most Improved Player Award. It goes to Miley, AKA DJ Miley. The music curation this year was off the chain. Ask anybody that was there what the best part was, they're going to say the music. And now granted, reminder, Wonderfruit is not a music festival. They'll tell you, I'll tell you, people there tell you, the music, it is not a music festival. It's a festival with music. But one of the biggest criticisms last year was the music. It was sporadic. The flow was a little bit off. In a lot of areas, it was a little bit too hard, if that makes sense. And they heard the criticism, which is what makes Wonderfruit stand out, and we'll get on that later. Miley heard our criticism and she adjusted. And not only did she adjust, she elevated music curation to a level that needs to be studied. And if they don't do the same next year, it's a travesty. It was an energy at the festival that gradually increased, decreased. Increase, decrease. Every single stage had an energy, had its own tone, but collectively throughout the festival, everything was moving in a similar wave. It was beautiful. It was to the point where normally we have a schedule in the Wonderfruit app where we just kind of go see our favorite art here and there. Like, oh, this looks interesting. We constantly kept just getting stuck at stages because performer after performer after performer kept raising the bar. It was brilliant. A childhood experience for me was seeing Octomon. I've been following them since I was like 13 years old and I had no idea they were even coming. And here they were at Polygon just killing it. The artist Yuhine, her voice at Infold was transformational. You had Gaius, you had the entire team over at Forbidden Fruit. That stage was bananas this year. Then you had 428 also, which we started to call it the Christmas tree because the redesign is absolutely beautiful, Christmas, like a tree. It was every single stage just delivered over and over throughout. Miley did a brilliant job. And one of my favorite things about Wonderfruit every single year is I am not going to hear stuff that I can listen to on Spotify or YouTube. I'm going to hear and experience things that are new. Every Wonderfruit, I leave with 3 to 4 new artists who I fall in love with. This one, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like so many amazing artists I discover here and artists who I've actually known for years, like Paradise Molam getting a premium slot, phenomenal. Guys, the music this year was phenomenal. Another name drop. Miley, you did a phenomenal job. I told her this in person and I will tell her again forever. Brilliant job on the music. And on that theme of music, sound design. Last year was an absolute mess in terms of sound design for many of us. There was so much noise bleed from one stage to other. Noise bleed is basically when you can be at one stage and you can hear what's going on the other stage. You usually find this in clubs that have different rooms where if you're in one room, you can hear the music from another room. I don't know who they brought in to fix this issue, but it was immaculately controlled and curated this year. You take a couple steps, you can almost draw a circle around each stage to where once you step over that line, you're not going to hear anything from that stage. It made it such a more pleasant experience. Not to mention the volume was lower by maybe 15-20%. So even if you didn't have your earplugs in, quick plug, get some loops. If you're going to festivals and concerts, have earplugs. But if you didn't have them, your ears weren't ringing and hurting the entire time. And it seems like some of the stages were specifically designed to address this. I would say, talk about SOT's new design. SOT is basically now enclosed, and that's the hip hop, funk, soul, R&B stage. So that music tends to just be louder from start to finish, and that stage is almost entirely enclosed now. So yeah, a big shout out to whoever they brought in to fix the sound bleed issues, because they did an excellent job. So now let's talk about food and beverage. It was really, really good this year. And I actually have to defend Wonderfruit here, because this was one of the few criticisms I've heard about this year, where people complaining that they said the prices were too high for food and beverage. That is absolutely ridiculous. So many people come to Thailand with this idea about that everything is, 40 baht pad Thai street food everywhere. That's not necessarily Thailand anymore, really. Like, honestly, a lot of the bars, the prices were comparable to Bangkok. Now, if you think Bangkok's expensive, then okay, it aligns. But if you came to Wonderfruit expecting you're going to get street food prices, that is ridiculous. And I still feel, even with the pricing, everything was about where it should have been. If you're getting a cocktail in Bangkok, for example, at, let's say, by any metric, the top 50 bars in Bangkok, around 400 baht plus. That's what you're going to spend on a good cocktail. They were selling for like, I want to say 250, 300. Like, you didn't see that many cocktails above that 350, not even really in that range. So I'm not really sure what people were actually expecting who were being critical. Food, I don't believe I spent more than 300 baht on a meal the entire time I was there. And I had kebabs and Thai street food and Alice's Pizzas. Shout out to Alice's Pizza, I love you. There's so many different vendors there. Also, the new locations were brilliant. They worked out. So Forbidden Fruit moved to the lower left lakeside from its upper right lakeside area, but that area where it used to be is now a more expanded food court area, and it's right next to one of the markets where you could buy, if you've got some earbuds, a new robe or something, you can get it all there. So that was wonderful. Then they put another one outside of Polygon, which was needed, right up between Polygon, 428, the cloud beds, and the bathroom. It's literally right in the middle of those four very important locations. And then you have another one on the other side that's outside of the quarry. That's outside the quarry, the ziggurat stage, and not too far from Infold. So the prices were spot on. The locations were great. I believe they consolidated everything in-house, what made it run even more efficiently, in my opinion. So F&B this year was definitely one of the big highlights. Last year, I didn't use the shuttles and I didn't use the pickup locations because I was staying on site. This year I did, and seeing how the new shuttle system and the new Grab pickup system works was actually a priority for me, and it's phenomenal. It's excellent. Grab are some gangsters. Like, they took over. They really took over. Once you go out, you still have your touts, trying to get you to take a motorbike or take a taxi into the city, and their prices are still a bit high, but they've come way down to where Grab actually posted, this is what you should be paying. This is the price. And Grab Pickup, they had their own entire area. So if you didn't even want to deal with the touts You could just go to the Grab pickup area. We hired a private driver, which was made it, the new system actually made it more complicated for us because the Grab has their own massive area and a shuttle has its own massive area, and private cars can't get in that area. So it was very difficult for us to find. Now that is us problems, but in terms of almost everybody else at the festival, it's actually really, really good because you can just call a Grab now and they know exactly where they're going, where you are, and they're gonna pick you up right there. Really good system, and the prices have dropped dramatically. I feel like the average coming from the festival into the city was probably around the $1,000 range, when in the past I've seen it go up to $2,000-3,000. So they did an excellent job. I don't know who got that deal together, but bringing Grab in officially, excellent idea. Last but not least, it's the crowd. This crowd this year was phenomenal. Now, I will say this is just a theory. There's no way to verify this, but I feel like last year, 2023, was our first real post-COVID year, especially here in Southeast Asia, where Australians were finally able to travel freely, and Chinese tourists were able to travel freely, and a lot of places there was no restrictions, nothing, and everybody was coming back after saving, getting back to work, and getting life back to normal. So 2023, you had a lot of people who were just scrambling for the party. You had a lot of people who were coming to Wonderfruit expecting it to be EDC or Tomorrowland, or all these bigger festivals in the West, and that energy is different. When you come expecting, that new EDM, that tech house energy, it's different. When you treat it as just a music festival instead of a holistic event, it's different. And that crowd definitely made it a different vibe last year. This year, it was wonders. It was people who were looking for that holistic experience, who have been going to Wonderfruit for years. I'm not sure about the numbers. I believe they also sold out again, but the resale market was way higher this year, in my opinion. Looking at the Telegram groups, the Facebook groups, and the Line groups, a lot of people were selling their tickets this year because obviously the prices have gone up for flights, for hotels, for transportation, all that. This year, you never really felt, at least I didn't, ever feel really overwhelmed by the crowds. I remember Corey was, a lot of times Corey was, it was a little dangerous. So like, man, I don't know if something happens, how we gonna get in and out of here. But I didn't feel that this year. And they also did a really cool new system where they just scan your wristband so they can control the flow of people going, well, they scan you coming in and coming out. So they know how many people are there and when it's time to kind of slow people coming in and coming out. And then I only saw maybe one time where there was a little bit of a wait to get in, but not really. And I think that's because the crowds were just, not only were the crowds significantly more well-behaved, but it was a lot less people, in my opinion. So the crowds this year were phenomenal, super pure energy. Everybody look out for each other. One of my good friends from Europe, that was one of the top things he mentioned, was this crowd is phenomenal. So many cool, nice, welcoming, kind people. Everybody look out for each other. That's what Wonderfruit's always been for me.